Wouldn't it be grand if you could take this pile of old pallets and turn them into this stunning 80s arcade game? Follow along as I do just that. Welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the video. I've always loved arcade games, especially anything from the early 80s. I've always dreamed of owning a big Buck Hunter or a Daytona or even an original Donkey Kong cabinet in my own house. Now, thanks to this guy and his pallet challenge, I've got the perfect compromise. An arcade machine made from a stack of old pallets with thousands of retro games to play. Thanks Mark for hosting the challenge, and to all the makers that are submitting an entry. Now join me as I show you how I built my very own palletcade. This denailer has been a game changer. It either completely removes nails by shooting them out of the boards, or at least makes it easier to remove them with a claw hammer. Just be sure to wear safety glasses. And check that your tetanus vaccinations are current. Off to the miter saw next to cut the boards down to a more manageable length. No piece on this project is over 600 mils or 2 foot long, but this is just a rough cut for now. Initially, I'd planned on running all the boards through the thicknesser or thickness planer, and everything went well for the first few pallets. Until I killed the machine. I'll show you what my plan B was soon enough. The table saw gave me a straight and mostly parallel edge on both sides of each board. This arcade machine is made up of a total of 6 panels, all of different sizes, but all put together using the same method. It made sense to me to build a layout board out of some leftover form ply I had to make this job easier and somewhat repeatable. The bonus of using form ply is that glue doesn't really stick to the face of the form ply, making it easier to remove the panels after the glue dries. This excess on the end will be used for the control panel, and this scrap on the side helps to align one edge of the panels. The beauty of this layout board is that once the first piece is squared up and clamped down, the rest of the pieces should all line up pretty accurately. You can see here that by previously squaring an end on each board, it's easy to get one edge of the panel lined up like this. From here, it's just apply glue, push the edges together, and apply some overall clamp pressure. An added bonus of using pallet wood for this project is the ability to hold the panel flat by screwing through an old nail hole. You just got to be sure to remove the screws before the next step. This is the alternative way I came up with to quickly flatten the panels. First, get each of the individual planks down to a similar thickness using the electric planer, then come back with an aggressive 40 grit sandpaper and enter Sandman. A handheld belt sander probably would have done the job a lot faster, but I don't have one. And besides, people tell me this is therapeutic. 3 methods are then used to trim the panels down. The table saw for the small panels, a track saw for longer cuts, and a jigsaw for the intricate cuts. And any internal cuts, like this hole for the arcade coin door. This is what a stain panel looks like, although I haven't talked about stain yet. This hard wax oil was $10 a tin before the big box store discontinued it. I was able to buy a lot of boxes for $1 each. With 6 tins in each box, that's 17 cents per tin. So now I have a lot of hard wax oil, but only in brown or golden teak. I decided to use golden teak on the sides of the cabinet and brown for everything else. Isn't that delicious? Most of the accessories are black, like the control panel and this coin door. So I thought it was fitting to chisel out one of the aliens from Space Invaders and stain it black as well. This bottle of Japanese drawing ink is only a few dollars from the Hyaku-en shop and perfectly stains wood black. You can even still clearly see the wood grain after it's applied. I just taped a scrap of rag to a paddle pop stick to spread it around. And if you like a nice looking bit of wood to whack your chisels with, pop over to danamade.com and grab one for yourself. This is not sponsored, and I bought mine with my own pocket money. Setting the table saw blade to 7.5 degrees, I trimmed the front edge of the control panel, then got to work on the button layout. Layouts are as personal as the type of underwear you like, but if you feel like making your own arcade, I'll leave a link below to a page full of layout templates. After marking the hole locations with a punch, I took the panel to the drill press. It's essential that you use a drill press or a drill guide to get these holes perfectly perpendicular to the panel. Use a 28mm Forstner bit for the buttons, 22mm for the joysticks. And this is not the only time in this video that you'll see my drill bits are in need of a good sharpening. Look at that smoke. A couple of pallet stringers are cut down to create some furring strips to get the cabinet ready for assembly. The glue is the strength here. The pin nails are just to hold the strips in place until the glue dries. Once the right hand side of the cabinet was finished, it was easy to trace out the left hand side. Changing gears now, I cut an old piece of ply and cut down some more pallet stringers to create a base for the cabinet. I also added some caster wheels to the back to make it easier to move the finished cabinet around. These blocks of hardwood came from one of the pallets I pulled apart, and they truly were hardwood. It was probably a bit of overkill, but I attached them to the bottom of the base to give the adjustable feet a strong foundation. These feet will give me the ability to level and stabilise the cabinet. Time for homemade edge banding. This is a 3D printed guide for the bandsaw, but I repurposed it here as a thin strip ripper, allowing me to make identical, repeatable thin strips. Once I cut them to size, I took them to my homemade router table and gave both sides a round over. The blue tape on my finger is to help me keep pressure on the cutter and allow the wood to slide smoothly without giving me splinters. I was pretty pleased with the final result here. Tracing the curves that I'll be adding the edge banding to on paper, these then get stuck to a scrap board with spray adhesive. Then I use the jigsaw to cut them out and screw them down to the layout board. To bend the curves that are needed at the end of a strip of edge banding, I just filled a thermos with boiling water and soaked the strips until they were pliable. For curves in the middle of a strip, I just poured water over the strips into a plastic tub and bent them to soak like this. Once the wood had soaked long enough, it was easy to clamp the strips around the forms and leave them there to dry. When the clamps are removed, the wood holds this shape. When the strips were completely dry and shaped, I applied more drawing ink. From here it was glue, clamp, and pin nail as needed. A touch up with ink at the end probably wasn't necessary, but I had the ink, so why not? One of my failures on this project was making handholds for the back of the cabinet and then filling the space where your hands go with speakers. So now these are just elaborate ventilation holes, not handholds. Now for the exciting bit, Finally time to start putting all the pieces together. It's really starting to take shape now. One of my main design requirements was to make sure the control panel is secure, but easily replaceable. If I decide to change the button layout or add a trackball or spinner in the future, I need to be able to do that. These threaded inserts, along with these large countersunk machine screws, provide this flexibility. Moving on to sound. Using a trim router, I cut speaker holes directly into the speaker panel. Then I bought some really nice computer speakers off a lovely lady on Marketplace and proceeded to mutilate them. Sorry. A piece of cheap black shopping bag becomes my speaker grill, and then I Frankensteined the circuitry and the speaker housings to attach it all to the back of the speaker panel, where it can all be hidden inside the cabinet. When making the light box for the Pallets marquee, I lined the inside of the top cavity with a scrap piece of reflective house wrap to help direct plenty of light forwards, then stuck and stapled some LED strip lighting to the rear board. The Pallets print is held between two sheets of clear 3mm acrylic, and once again I use threaded inserts to ensure I can swap out the marquee if I need to, or just to clean out dead bugs. There's space under the control panel for a pull-out keyboard tray to easily make changes to the computer system. This entire arcade is run on a Raspberry Pi 3B+, and having easy access to make changes makes sense. I wanted to keep at least one plank of pallet wood as close to raw as possible, so you can still see leftover blue paint on this panel and on the drawer front. I've coated it in Danish oil, and if I decide later that I don't like it, I can always add some brown hard wax oil. Still got plenty. Here I'm adding some barrel bolts that came from our kitchen renovation, and this is just to lock the keyboard tray in place for transport, or if I don't want anyone messing with the system. You just unlock the coin door and reach in to undo these locks. Speaking of the coin door, I was looking for the authentic sound of coins falling into a metal lockbox. I don't have a lockbox. Instead, I stole one of Mum's baking trays, and it'll do the job nicely. Now I'm really looking forward to bringing in the dough. Now comes the fun part, wiring up the control panel. Actually, the wiring harness that comes with this controller makes the job pretty easy, although it does take a lot of time and patience. I also decided to make a little cradle for the Raspberry Pi in the keyboard drawer. The screen I'm using was previously a medical screen that has fantastic resolution and the 4:3 ratio layout I like best for these cabinets. It was a real pain in the butt to install alone, so I didn't film the installation, but I used a leftover strip of form ply for strength and the guarantee that it will be and remain flat. I was able to install it up against the acrylic screen that I've just shown here, and again use threaded inserts in case I need to access the screen for cleaning. Once installed, I could mark out where the screen touched and mask this out. Then with a gloss black spray paint, I painted 3 coats to create a block-out bezel. The painter's tape gave me some nice crisp lines, and when it was dry, I reinserted the screen and turned it all on. Ah, Wonder Boy and satisfaction. Also, you can see here that I can adjust the volume quickly and easily. I can even turn off the speakers completely if I want to. One of the final steps is to take the stock red joystick knobs and change them out to match the cabinet. I found these 35mm wooden balls on eBay and set up a quick jig to drill perfectly centered holes for yet more threaded inserts. Then a lick more brown hard wax oil and we are pretty close to done. The joystick on the left is a little special. letting me change it from 4-way to 8-way simply by lifting it up and rotating 90 degrees. 4-way is good for games like Donkey Kong, Pac-Man and Frogger, where you only move up, down, left and right. And 8-way is for any game that requires you to use diagonals. If you've made it this far, I truly do thank you and I hope you've enjoyed your experience. Please consider subscribing and turn on notifications so you know when my next video drops. Now all that's left to do is insert coin.